So in this video, I'm going to tell you why the iPhone SE 4th gen in 2025 is better than the iPhone 16 Pro. So talking about pure price, the iPhone 16 Pro is the flagship expensive $1,000 device from Apple. It has the best of the best setup. But now, after a long overdue release, Apple will soon be announcing the iPhone SE, the 4th gen, the 2025 edition, in a couple of days. And we've gathered enough evidence, and I pretty much declared that the iPhone SE is going to be a better seller, a more important device to Apple than the iPhone 16 Pro, and it's just a better overall value. We are making a big jump in the budget department. iPhones have gotten really expensive, and this is going to be the 4th generation budget device from Apple, and we're finally ditching an old school design, an 11-year-old design that dates back to the iPhone 6, and we're finally going into the new era, and it is a very refreshing device with the specs that the iPhone SE 4th gen is going to give you. So let's go ahead and start with the price. The iPhone 16 Pro has all the bells and whistles, and it flexes really hard, but it is a tough pill to swallow at $1,000. So simply by going by price, the iPhone SE will be half the price of the iPhone 16 Pro. So you can get two iPhone SEs for the price of one 16 Pro, brand new, straight from Apple, with the warranty and everything. And a lot of people are gonna go with, I need an iPhone and I need a modern one, and they're gonna simply pick the iPhone SE. So price-wise, the iPhone SE is a no-brainer. So you're pretty much getting an iPhone 14 shape in the iPhone SE. You have that notch at the top versus the dynamic island on the iPhone 16 Pro. But functionality-wise, it's not gonna change how you use the device. And for most people that are buying the iPhone SE, you're using this for everyday tasks, and it's not gonna hinder or make you use your device any different by having a dynamic island or notch. It really doesn't make a difference. Size-wise and weight-wise, since the iPhone 16 Pro is made out of better build material, it's going to be a little bit heavier than the iPhone SE. So to me, that's a win, having a more lightweight device. Speaking of build quality, you're going to get a glass front, glass back titanium frame on the 16 Pro versus iPhone 14 type of setup with a glass front, glass back aluminum frame. But this only really matters if you are not rocking a case on either of these phones. As for the SIM card status, I suspect that Apple will not have a physical SIM card slot in the iPhone SE 4. That might be a different story in China, because Apple is going to push this phone really hard into the Chinese market, and in China they still sell the dual SIM card version that has the physical nano SIM card slot. The iPhone 16 Pro is eSIM only. While it is new technology, it is not better than having a physical SIM card slot and an eSIM, but I suspect the iPhone SE will go only the eSIM routes in most of the world. But if it were to have a physical SIM card slot and eSIM together, that would definitely make it better and more flexible than the 16 Pro, but we'll see. You're gonna get dust and water resistance on both of these devices, but it's going to be a little bit less in the iPhone SE, 1 meter for 30 minutes versus 6 meters for 30 minutes in the iPhone 16 Pro, but I think for most people it will not matter. You're getting a brighter display on the 16 Pro. Size-wise, you are probably going to get around the same physical footprint. iPhone SE is finally going to be a bigger device overall, without sacrificing much, because you're removing the bezels from the top and the bottom from the home button. You're getting pretty much all screen except for the notch. So physical size-wise, you're finally getting a better overall, bigger screen. Unfortunately, the screen is going to be 60 hertz versus the 120 hertz on the iPhone 16 Pro. That is a Pro. The Pro motion is only found on Pro models, and a lot of people have gotten used to that. So that's one downside. That's one negative of the iPhone SE. But for most people, it's not really going to matter. Also, you do not have always on display on the iPhone SE, another Pro feature. But again, most people, it won't really matter on a day-to-day usage. One cool thing is that both of these are going to be rocking iOS 18, and you're going to get several years of updates. So they're going to run the same software, your same apps. You're not going to have any issues. An interesting thing to note on the storage front is usually the iPhone SE doesn't have the same amount of RAM or the same amount of storage as is more expensive brothers. But in this case, I think Apple is going to install 128 gigs of internal storage, and also you need 8 gigs of RAM to run Apple Intelligence, and this is why this one is going to be important. So that means that Apple is going to sell its $500 device as the same internals with the RAM with 128 gigs of storage as the iPhone Pros. So you're getting finally almost the exact same internal specs for half the price. One place where you'll definitely notice the difference, especially when you're looking at the device, is going to be the camera setup. You have 3 cameras on the back of the 16 Pro versus a single camera on the iPhone SE. So that might make a difference to you if you care about telephoto lens and ultra wide lens. Apple is making a sacrifice here, and it's definitely going to be out in the public. When you see somebody whip out an iPhone SE, you're going to know that it is a cheaper priced phone, because that's the thing that stands out. It's very prominent having those 3 camera sensors versus having only one, and that's more of a vanity thing. I think the camera on the iPhone SE will be great for most people, taking a 4K video and taking beautiful pictures. You're just not getting all those options on as the other camera sensors. But I think for most people, they just want to take a quick photo and send it to their friends or upload it on social media. So if you're not into content creation, you just got a little bit more options on the iPhone 16 Pro. Now, when it comes to unlocking your device, this is where it's going to get a big refresh, where we finally have Face ID on an iPhone SE model, and it's just on par with the iPhone 16 Pro, except that you're just not going to have that fancy graphic from the dynamic island versus the notch version of unlocking your device. But the functionality is going to be the same. The ease of using Face ID. We're finally moving away from the home button, and we're bringing this iPhone SE into the next generation of Apple. And finally, we get to the last 2 things I think that make a huge difference for most people. I think we're going to use USB Type-C for charging, and I think that brings it full circle to a new modern generation of iPhones, and the iPhone SE can join the party, moving on from Lightning and switching to USB-C, the same that is found on the iPhone 16 Pro. Now you can pretty much use USB Type-C, the same charger for all of your Apple devices now, and they're all going to be modern. This is like the last device that has stayed with Lightning, so you could charge your AirPods, your MacBook, your iPad, pretty much everything out there with the same cable. So it is a welcome, refreshing feeling. I think that's what stands out the most is going to USB Type-C for the new iPhone SE. And battery life. Since we're getting a bigger phone overall, we're finally going to have all-day battery life. That was a big negative of previous iPhone SEs dating back to the iPhone 6, having pretty much 1/3 of the battery life less. So now we got finally a budget device with great battery life. This is something that Android does really good now, is that even the cheapest phone has like all-day battery life with a big battery, and the cheapest iPhone now that's being sold directly from Apple finally has all-day battery life. So we got an overall bigger device that matches an iPhone 16 Pro. You have all the internals almost like an iPhone 16 Pro. You have RAM, internal storage, USB Type-C, Face ID. It is very much a modern phone, and you're not skimping on anything new. The only thing, in my opinion, that makes a big difference in purchasing between both of these devices is going to be the camera setup and the screen with 120 hertz, which also uses for always on display. But other than that, I think the better buy is the iPhone SE for $500. And trust me, you might get this on prepaid and definitely get this phone for even way cheaper. You're probably gonna get it for less than $100. You can get this from carriers and on no contract prepaid. You can get a really good deal on the iPhone SE. So that's been my comparison of the iPhone 16 Pro versus, I think, the better deal, the iPhone SE 4.